hello to everyone, and thank you so much, as always, for continuing to follow us. Although the recent videos haven't been the easiest to watch because of all the disturbances. But tonight, Erik and I are back with our usual Thursday night update. And I have no clue what we're going to be talking about tonight. All I know is Erik has been extremely busy. So that tells me it will be a packed 30 minutes. So I will say less and leave room for Erik to say more. Erik, welcome back.
Hello, Jennylyn.
You know, half of the video last week that you that you discussed with me that I thought people really want to hear has been noised out because I don't know how else to describe what happened. So I'm going to let you take this session tonight where you want it to go. And I will just sit back with everyone and listen to all that you've done this week.
Well, I guess there's quite a few things going on. I mean, internationally, I mean, it looks like there's some kind of negotiations going on between Oman and Iran as far as the Strait of Hormuz goes. So that's made the markets react very positively. We hit like a massive record yesterday. So if you have money in the stock markets, you're getting richer by the day at a ridiculous pace. Um, then Dr. Fauci yesterday was held, or today, this morning, the Senate is going to hold him in contempt of Congress for pleading the fifth. So he's going to be in some trouble there. There will be probably a Department of Justice referral for that. Um, Mainly because his pardon does not excuse him from testimony. So the pardon excuses him from crimes that he may have committed while he was in the NIH. He's no longer in the NIH, so that pardon doesn't hold any water to that now.
Sorry, I know I said I'm going to stay quiet, but a question is popping into my head regarding that entire thing. Is that
Mhm.
pardon legitimate? When you think of
No.
the number of lives that have been lost, none of us could have killed one person and be pardoned. I don't
So
understand these pardons.
Dr. Fauci has a preemptive pardon. So that means he's being pardoned for crimes he has yet to commit. Make that make sense.
I like that you're using my line now. Right. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I mean,
Here's where
he
I
could.
struggle.
So according to the pardon that he has, he could walk down the street and shoot somebody in the face, and he won't get prosecuted.
But what about the crimes that allegedly he's already committed?
So he's covered under the preemptive pardon. They can't prosecute him for anything that he did or didn't do during COVID. Joe Biden gave him that.
So, here's where I struggle. Americans are okay with this. People
Well,
just
the
seem to
media
sit
don't tell the
back and
truth.
these things happen and they just happen because we are insignificant and they are important. Is
Right.
that it?
I mean, they just don't like, especially like you're seeing like the left wing media is like still praising Dr. Fauci. Like, how much more evidence do they need to see to understand that Dr. Fauci is part of the reason why we all got sick and died? There's ample evidence. Um, on the right side, that's all they do is they cram the Dr. Fauci did this and did that down your throat. So it's almost sensitized you to it a little bit. And everybody's just like, oh, we're tired of hearing about Dr. Fauci. Let's move on to something else because we all have ADHD. So, uh, that's kind of where that whole case is at right now. I mean, I'm glad that they're holding him in contempt because I think that he was the head of the NIH. It's the global authority on everything. if you're going to head such a powerful medical organization like that, you better answer some questions because the globe's health is in your hands. So, like they kept trying to the Democrats on the committee today kept trying to table the referral, uh, but it didn't work because they kept getting it voted down, and they tried it probably 8 times, and it kept getting voted down. They're like, well, we need to hear from his lawyer. We need to do this and we need to do that. And finally, Rand Paul was like, we're voting on this. Are we going to give him a referral or not? And it passed. So Dr. Fauci is getting a contempt referral. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes from here. If I was him, I would probably start answering questions because he's protected from prosecution for the pardon. So he could go out there and say, "Yeah, I made the virus and I killed everyone with it," and he's not going to be able to get arrested for it. The only thing he can get in trouble for right now is lying to Congress. So all he has to do is go in and tell the truth, and he won't get in trouble because he's covered under the pardon.
I'm speechless.
Look,
The words are, the
Joe
ideas and the questions are popping into my head. I'm going to leave them where they are.
Joe Biden made 3 drastic errors when he was president. Well, let's say 4. One, he weaponized the system against Donald Trump. That was wrong. 2, he botched the Afghan withdrawal. That was bad. Horrible optics. The world was like, oh my gosh, the United States is so sloppy. 3, trading Brittany Griner for Victor Boot. That was one of the dumbest things that we could have ever done as Americans. We did not, I mean, yes, we want all of our Americans to come back, but you cannot trade the most dangerous human being on the planet for a basketball player. So that was a horrible deal. And Victor Boot is already responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths since he's been out. So, we saved a basketball player, but killed 300,000 people in the process. So, that's a problem. Stupid decision. And then, of course, giving Dr. Fauci a preemptive pardon was the 4th major error of Joe Biden's presidency. Now, a lot of these are in hindsight, because we don't, at the time, you get emotional about these things and you support them. And then when you look back at it and you're like, what are the result of these decisions? And now you're seeing them and you're like, well, Joe Biden shouldn't have been making any decisions because everybody knows he had some sort of mental health issue going on this whole time. Even the left-wing media has finally admitted it. So we all know that these things happened. And now we're like, well, we probably shouldn't have traded Victor Boot for Brittany Griner. That was not a smart decision. And like for Brittany Griner to ever get on TV and speak her mind about anything, I think would be a dire mistake. She should stand for the American flag every single time, because if it wasn't for that American flag, she'd still be in a Russian prison right now, just wilting away. So, that, and on top of that, her freedom killed hundreds of thousands of people. Me personally, I wouldn't be able to live with that, knowing that my freedom killed a lot of people. So,
Well, I think in a few videos I have implied, based on observation, that not everyone has a conscience.
right. Which
Because some
there,
of the things we discuss, if I had like even considered doing some of them, I would not be able to sleep.
right. Um, but to go out of international stuff, there was a major case that happened in the last 2 days. So right now, the state of Mississippi is a hotbed for major news. Now, this one has yet to really pick up in the news feeds, but I know about it because I'm embedded into the Mississippi investigative politics right now. But there was a young lady. Her name was Tasia Fortune, and she lives like close to Jackson, Mississippi. And they found her hung from a tree in an abandoned property, and so that we're still waiting on the details. Her mother is asking to be left alone about it because there's something that they're fearing. There's a fear there. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be asked questions because they're scared of something. Now, the media is going to come in and they're going to make this some white supremacists hung a black girl. They're going to automatically do that. Even though there's no suspects, we have no idea who did it. She could have done it herself. Somebody else could have done it. A black person could have done it. A Chinese person could have done it. We don't know. But the media is going to come in and paint this narrative. So everybody be prepared. It's going to happen. But the facts of the matter is there are no suspects as of right now. They have no idea what happened to her. So,
Was she depressed or something?
well, we're still trying to figure it out. She has a cousin that has spoke out a little bit, and her cousin has said that there's no way that she did this to herself. She was happy, everything was great. So her cousin's suggesting that something nefarious happened. So, but until the facts come out, everything's speculative at this point. But I'm going to be paying close attention to that to see where this goes. Then you look at the Nolan Wells case down there in southern Mississippi in Jackson County, and that's just turned into a giant circus. It's
Any updates on that?
I mean, right now they just arrested a bunch of people that were threatening these boys that everybody thinks killed Nolan Wells. So there's a bunch of violence happening there. So I've kind of taken a step back because I feel like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on there right now. So I'm gonna let that smoke clear a little bit before I get too excited and move in a little bit further, because it's this turned into a sloppy thing down there and nobody's got control over it. And I fear it's going to get worse before it gets better.
And what do you have for us in terms of the updates with the two topics that were wiped out last week? Would you like to speak of that again, or do you think it will get wiped out again? Maybe you need to use code for it.
I mean, there's really not any updates per se.
But sorry, I asked the wrong question. Did you want to repeat that from last week? Or do you think if you did, we'll have the same reaction from on the video, that the video will be compromised again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just good to pass
Leave
it
it
by for
alone.
now.
Okay. Okay. So then what's your next topic? What's the what's the big story you're working on now?
Well, there's a big in Kentucky. It's Taylor County. It's this little tiny, low populated county. There's not a lot of people that live there. So this is something I've been working on for a few weeks now. It's there's a chief deputy sheriff. So he just got federally indicted on 10 different like drug related counts. So he's basically like the drug kingpin of this county.
God.
Luckily, so he's been getting away with it for a long time, because 20 years ago when he first started on the sheriff's office, his stepdad was the sheriff. So the stepdad was covering up for him for all these years. And now his stepdad retired and he became the chief deputy and a new sheriff came in. I mean, there's been a couple sheriffs in between here and there, but they all were helping cover everything up.
Can
But
I
this new
interrupt you,
guy,
Erik? Are you sure you're not telling us about the plot for a Clint Eastwood movie?
no,
It
this
sounds
is all
like
real.
that.
And this is like the big problem that we have going on in this country is that there things get bypassed. And mind you, this is a Republican state, but it's Andy Bashir's law enforcement. So like everybody shares responsibility in this, and nobody's doing anything proactive to fix it. So they all get mad at me because I go keep exposing them, and I'm like, well, stop doing it, and then I won't. It's really that easy. Like, stop doing corrupt things, stop oppressing your people, stop selling drugs. Because now we're to the point where this guy right here, we're going back through and finding out who's all overdosed and died from these drugs. So that's going to open up more charges. And they haven't talked about it yet, but I started digging into it. I'm like, how many overdoses have happened while he's been out selling all this dope all over his county? So he could be looking at several murder charges on top of that
Oh my
because,
God, he's the one
yeah,
selling it?
yeah, it's his drugs.
Well, I guess when you have Fauci being pardoned, it sounds like a little trickle down, you know?
Yeah,
The laws are not for us, they're for
right.
you guys. You know, we are covered.
So to add to it,
Oh
so
my God.
the officer that used to be a Kentucky State policeman, he got in trouble for stealing ammunition from, he was on Andy Bashir's personal security detail. He got in trouble and arrested for stealing ammunition out of the governor's mansion in Frankfurt. And then he was going and taking it and selling it on the streets in Taylor County. So Frankfurt is in another county. So he had to take it to a whole other county to sell it. Well, they arrested him. Well, they've magically made those charges disappear, which there's a whole other reason behind that. That's for another day. But um, so the Kentucky State Police fired him, or they made he resigned. They made him resign. So he goes and he gets a job with the Taylor County Sheriff's Office with this already corrupt chief deputy that's selling drugs everywhere. It's just a giant circle of bad cops that are making their communities worse. So this is what I've been working on, and it is kind of a case that a lot of people didn't know about, or nobody was really speaking out on, because this sheriff, this deputy sheriff, he's been running all the drugs. When it comes to drugs, then you have violence. When it comes to violence, you have overdoses. Like, all these things happen because you sell drugs. So he's like basically held this county hostage for years. And just now this new sheriff came in and caught wind of it and exposed him and got him arrested. So it turned into a DEA case, and now the feds have it. So he's probably going to be doing some prison time.
But see, there you go. They go to prison, but the one who killed so many throughout the world has been pardoned. And if you are really looking at the big picture, it's clear that it's an agenda that's beyond those people committing the crimes. They're clearly being protected by something behind the scenes, because it's like a repetitive story you tell every week. So many crimes everywhere, so many crimes. And these crimes are being committed by those who have been elected by the people of the United States of America, or so we think. And they are the ones apparently, allegedly committing more crimes than those people who are going to prison and jail. I'm just, it's disturbing.
It is. It's
And what
absolutely
makes it more disturbing is people just seem okay with it. And I have people asking me constantly, be careful. Why are you putting your life on the line and exposing these things? I'm not
right.
putting my life on the line. I'm just tired of seeing and living in a world where we have two sets of laws. And those that collect the money we pay in taxes, apparently, along with that comes the ability to break any law and not be held accountable. I mean, I don't know any other way to look at it. And one of my flaws is that I call a spade a spade. And apparently, I live in a world where I have to call a spade something like a heart. And I am not going to do that. So I am saddened, Erik, every week you come on and you're a one-man show trying to take down all of this corruption. And people ask me about you if you're not worried. And since I can't answer for you, how about if you answer for yourself?
I mean, I'm not that worried. When I first started doing this, I was a little worried because threats come in, and having limited resources, to really vet whether or not those threats are legitimate, because there people are going to say things. So I know that, and so generally I just blow them off. But every once in a while, you'll get a threat that is a little specific, and it's there's a little bit more juice behind it, and I got to go, well, this one might not be very this might be legit. I might have to take this seriously. So I have gotten to the point to where, like, I do have in my town, the local police department. They're very well aware of what I do, and they know, I have extra checks on my property at night.
So
They're
does
up and
this
down my
mean,
street.
sorry, Eric, to interrupt, but does this mean you trust them? You've got good guys policing where you live?
Yeah, so I mean, you don't trust anybody in this world. I don't think. I think that would be a bad thing to do.
That's right.
However, we have an agreement, and the agreement is for lack of better words, you don't shit where you eat. So as long as I don't expose their corruption, they'll keep me safe.
Oh my, I cannot help it. Are you for real? This is
I'm
just
a, at the end of I
unbelievable.
mean, that's how it works. At the end of the day, I'm a businessman. So if you're going to, let's make a deal. That's my approach. Let's make a deal. I know it's not the most ethical thing. I'm supposed to just depend on people and their good-hearted kindness to keep me safe. I don't trust that, so let's make a deal. I'm going to have my insurance policy. You have your insurance policy, and as long as everybody stays within the guidelines, everything should go smooth.
So, what's going on with your coalition? Are you making progress?
I mean, yeah, like things are starting to come together. I still have some legal things that I have to put together for that. So eventually, I will have my own team, and my own little investigative unit, and that'll make things a little bit easier, because then they won't be able to pinpoint just on me. They'll have several other people targeting these corrupt politicians.
I don't even begin to know how to process some of what you share with me. And I would imagine people watching these segments, struggling with the same. When I grew up, there was no one outside of my parents beside the police that I trusted. And somehow, I, I don't know if this is only happening in the US. I would hope that there's some police somewhere that are really policing in terms of keeping the laws and not
Now there
fostering
are
corruption and taking,
yeah,
payments.
there are a lot of good cops out there, Jennylyn. I don't want your audience to think that every cop that I run into is a bad apple. There's a lot of good ones out there. There's the majority of your cops are good. The problem is when a bad apple comes in, and that bad apple develops some power in the agency, the good cops stay quiet, because for one, they don't want to get mixed up into that. For two, they're scared of that power. Most of these guys, they like their jobs. They have family security with that job. And, most law enforcement agencies pay decent, and you get a great retirement. So they're not going to ruffle feathers to jeopardize their future. Now, my issue with that, being formerly in law enforcement, I had a problem with that, because that's not what my oath told me to do. My oath didn't say tuck my tail between my legs and go hide while the bad guys do what bad guys do. That's not what my oath entailed. It entailed doing the right thing by the people of my community. My job was to protect my community. And if an officer is a threat to my community, he's got to go. So that's where
But
I
isn't
do
that
kind
why
of.
you were let go? Didn't they let you
I
go
mean,
because you refused to be a bad guy?
yeah, they didn't want they I wouldn't conform to the good old boys club. Like that, I'm not a follower type anyway. So they were barking up the wrong tree anyway. But like these are like, I'm supposed to just sit back and watch the people that my community members, my neighbors, my friends, even people I don't know, like, just get tortured by these cops, these crooked cops in the community. I can't look at myself in the mirror and accept that. and I'm supposed to, expect to go to heaven one day and be judged kindly. God doesn't have that in my playbook. So like I have to stand my ground and stand up for people.
Well, you better keep yourself safe, Erik. I know that every day I see people who are doing what you do, but not in the police realm, but bringing information that is helping humanity to wake up. They're just falling off the bandwagon, just dying. Just today, two people that I followed died. And more and more, if you look, you'll see scientists, doctors, everyone going against the grain and sharing the truth are being taken out.
Right.
So just be careful.
Yeah. I mean, we've got contingencies.
Okay. When you think about it and you think the politicians, the police, I mean, those who are supposed to keep us safe, it sounds like they're more corrupt than the man in the street. And here's the thing. I think, and by the way, this is all alleged based on what we see and what we know. It appears as though the crooks know this. The criminals know this. They know what is going on behind the scenes. Some
Right.
of them interact with these crooked cops. So what hope do we have?
Well, so I mean, that's not always a bad thing per se. I mean, go look at New York City back when Rudy Giuliani was mayor. I know a lot of people don't like Rudy Giuliani, but he took a disastrous city. The murder rate was astronomical when Rudy Giuliani took office. And he changed policy that I granted it was borderline constitutional rights violations. It's stop and frisk. A lot of people did not like stop and frisk. But he was targeting he was targeting known felons. And so as Rudy Giuliani, what he did was, see, back then the Italian mob was big. You had your street gangs. So how do you get murder to stop in your city? Well, you got to stop the gang wars. You got to stop
Right.
the mob wars. So what he did was he sat down with all of the heads of all these groups and he said, this stuff is going to end, or I'm going to multiply my police force and we're going to round up everybody. And that worked. So the murder rate drastically dropped very quickly in New York City because of the work of Rudy Giuliani and then police chief Bernard Kerik. They really hammered down on that, and it made a difference. But sometimes you have to go make a business deal, a deal with the bad guys to keep
With the
people safe.
devil.
Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. If you can get everybody to coordinate at one time and do the right thing, like, okay, we know you're going to sell drugs, we know you're going to steal cars, but don't shoot people. Like that, is that a compromise? Is that a compromise we can
I
live with?
thought.
And it was somewhat successful. That's why when I was in college, I wrote a paper about um, the statistics of crime when in organized crime ran cities versus crime in cities who no longer have organized crime. Now, this is going to be a ridiculous thing to say. I support having organized crime groups that are legitimately organized, like the mobs. For one, it gives the street gangs something to fear. So things will get very territorial and they won't cross into territories. For two, it keeps your politicians honest because now they have something to fear. Now that they've wiped out all of the organized crime groups in this country, the politicians have nobody to fear anymore. So that's why our corruption in amongst our politicians have skyrocketed because there's no fear anymore. They have complete control over the narrative without having resistance. So that was my theory. That was my theory in college.
And guys, this is the world we live in. This is what we work so hard. I just got home from my other job and worked honestly every week to put money toward this. It's infuriating. And people innocent people, someone get caught with drugs, gets locked up forever. And then we have crime on that level going on accounted for because those committing them are not on the same level as us. So
Right.
they know they can do it because they will not be held accountable. Are you kidding me? But we can sit here, Eric and I, every week and talk about this until we're blue in the face. It is what it is, and it's bigger than all of us solo journalists sitting down tabling it. Because tabling it without action is just like we're doing nothing except bringing awareness to it. Eric, what do you foresee going forward? Because you have been a cop, you have been a detective, you study this, right? You have a degree in this.
Yeah.
You
So there's going to have to be an ample amount of reform. Our criminal justice system is broke, but also in areas of high crime is also areas of high poverty. So in order to solve the crime problem appropriately, you're going to have to invest into something into those at-risk communities. I suggest making a mass investment of taxpayer dollars into trade schools. Put the trade schools smack dab in the middle of these at-risk communities. Let them have ample opportunity to become HVAC technicians, electricians, construction foremen, these skilled positions, CNC operators, stuff that has been dying out for years because now we're in a tech world, but now we have a lack of these skilled trade workers now. So there's a need, and those jobs will all make you over $100,000 a year. So that's I think that will help. That'll get more people off the streets and into trade schools where they have something to lose. Like I don't want to lose my education and my job, my union job, and like most of those jobs are union jobs. So that's a good step in the right direction. I don't think we invest enough into the trade schools to give people in these communities an opportunity to choose uh, a good path versus saying, "Well, I have no other choice, so I'm going to have to go out here and hustle." We want to change that mentality, and doing gentrification in these cities is not the answer either. You can't just say, "Well, we're going to buy up the hood over here and just fix all these houses and increase the rent." What that does is just pushes people outside of the city limits. It pushes them further out. And then what happens? The downtown area gets neglected. And so those people will move back into the downtown. And then over time, they'll gentrify them back out on the outside. And then it's a cycle that never ends. This is a proven fact. Gentrification does not work. It just moves people around. They have to actually come up with a real solution to give opportunity to people who generally never have opportunity. So that's where you start.
Well, Eric, that's a great idea, but what are we going to do with the ones on the top that's committing the crimes that are way more heinous than any crime those guys you're talking about? I
Well,
mean, crime is crime. There
yeah,
isn't worse or better. But all once again, it's the guy on the bottom being held accountable. What about
right,
those above? Those that are committing the crimes that are affecting all of our lives every day, including those on the street. That's what I'm excited to hear. How is that going to change?
right.
That's what I'd like to know.
Okay, I'll tell you my plan. Everybody, just give me all your money, and I'll put it in my nonprofit, and we'll get as big as Turning Point, and we will have hundreds of millions of dollars, and I will expose every corrupt politician in the United States until they all resign.
Okay, let's work on it then. So we did an update with Laura the other night, and we were hoping to have you join us, but you were busy. And once again, we discussed our frustration with the policing of the country
Right.
because nothing has changed. She is still at the standstill. She's not even entered, her case is not even entered in the system. And this is just so wrong. Anyway, clearly this is an organized thing because if it weren't, at least somebody would have taken some action because we know Laura's not the only one. But we're out of time. As always, I want to leave you to wrap up tonight.
I guess my big thing is, try to avoid the media fight. It's easy to get wrapped up into those things. We have to remember that at the end of the day, humanity's humanity. We are all human beings, and we are all spiritual beings. And kindness takes you a million miles, where dissension and negativity doesn't get you anywhere. So be kind to each other. I make a point to be kind to every single person that I come into contact with every day, and it's up to them whether or not they want to receive that kindness. And I think if we all approach that methodology, we can make some real progress into how we treat each other.
Thank you, Eric. I love that. I love that. And I try the same. I go out of my way to help someone. I don't just sit here and blow hot air. If I could spend the rest of my life making someone else's life better, that would thrill me better than anything else because there's so many who feel abandoned and alone, and some that don't even know how to navigate their way in this world that we live in today because it just seems like crime and corruption everywhere. Looking for a job, buying food, walking down the street. I mean, seriously. And we have so many older people who sit at home and are being scammed. These things keep me up at night. I'm not here to get rich or famous. I just want people, they're here, they're on the planet with us, and there's enough of us and enough resources that everyone should be able to have the basics to survive. And I have noticed, sadly, most don't. And that's what fuels my fire. And thank you for continuing to follow Eric and we will be back next week with God knows what, but we will be back next week. Thank you.